that having open, non-condom sex is pretty rare in these situations where they're having premarital sex. So this to me screams marriage. It screams to me monogamy. It screams to me the Catholic approach to sexuality. Two other things basically in men's semen that also are factors to why married women probably are so well. The research shows that married women that aren't practicing any of that condom type birth control are much happier, much less depressed than the women that are. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone LH, which can make a woman ovulate, actually, also are in semen. So it's as you said earlier, this system that we have set up, if marriage is the cornerstone of it, which I think both of us would highly recommend. It makes it all work. It makes it all work very beneficially. But if you aren't married, then you have to worry about all these different things and do all these things that are really harmful, especially to the woman. Last stat here that women need to be aware of about men is that as opposed to our swimmers that we're having, witnessing the swimming situation with the man that isn't too great in the men's division, but he's great in the women's. Men have 80% more upper body of muscle fiber on average and 50% more lower body muscle fiber on average than females do. So it's 80-50. And generally that means that in any kind of physical contest or any kind of like abuse situation, the males are going to be the ones that are going to be the abusers, and the females are going to be the ones that are going to be trying to survive it. So, our movies these days with women, the way they're portrayed, throwing guys around and
right.
just and all the unreal things that they're putting across in the entertainment really give, I think, a lot of people, including the girls, the wrong impression of the way things are. And again, all these things that can lead to danger. So that is basically the things that women need to know about men. And then if we have time, I've got some things that they need to know about themselves as well.
Let's just do it. I don't
Okay.
need to ask questions when you've got all the info.
Well, stop me at any time.
I don't
And
want to.
okay. Well, the first thing that again, very important, again, moms and grandmas out there, and maybe some young women that are watching this themselves, early sexual arousal, what we found scientifically is that it affects females differently than it does males. It raises their sociosexuality. And what we mean by that is their inclination to engage in casual sex and take, like pornography, anything like that, where that they might not do normally if they wouldn't have been sexually aroused earlier. It has more of power over them. There's something about early sexual arousal on girls that causes that reaction, and it didn't find that reaction with the males. So that's something to really be cautious with the girls and young women in your life, is try to keep them from experiencing that too young. And it's hard these days because porn is being usually exposures like
It's being fire hosed into people these days.
yeah, and age 10 to 13 is the average age of first exposure. So 10-year-old, seeing that.
So what you said is so let's just say a girl happens upon pornography at a young age. What you're saying is it arouses her, but then it makes her more hypersexualized than a girl who hasn't seen it. And she is more inclined to have more sexual partners, or at least to seek to satisfy that urge
That's
than
what I'm
girls who did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It affects her down the road. It affects her whole life, basically. So, protecting them from that, and it's terribly tough these days. I mean, how do you protect them with everybody having a phone and everything? So,
Well,
but
let's talk
just
about fatherlessness. That is the
yeah,
man's responsibility. And these children are being raised by their moms, and the father who's supposed to protect her modesty, and he's supposed to protect her virginity, and he's supposed to protect everything about her. He's not there. She's left to figure it out on her own, or at least try to have mom help her figure it out. And mom's the same as she is because mom's a female. We don't understand these
I
things.
completely agree. And the other thing is, going back to the behavior, females behavior, affecting their future reproductive cancer risk. That's one I didn't mention, but having an unrelated male, in the household, like a stepdad, or maybe not even that, maybe as the boyfriend in the household, has a tendency to cause these girls to start their menstrual cycles earlier, and that's another risk factor for future cancer, is starting your menstrual cycle earlier. So